हेलो नमस्कार। मेरा नाम भूपेंद्र सिंह है। वेलकम टू जगरा मेडिटेक एंड today's class is all about history. Okay, in previous class we have covered a portion, okay, of tripartite struggle. I have explained the origin of the Rajputs and the struggle, okay, from the west side infiltration, like people like Muhammad Ghori, okay, and the problems even in the clan also of Rajputs. Okay. And after that, I told you how uh, exactly it led to the establishment of Muhammad Ghori. Sorry, his claim over. Uh, One second, there is a problem in my. Okay, okay, got it. Okay, so we have covered till here, and I explained it to you. Okay, in previous classes, everything related to okay tripartite struggle. If anybody has any kind of doubt related to the previous lecture, they can ask me. Okay, if not, then I'll let you know that we have covered tripartite struggle, and after that I told you that how it led to the establishment of slave dynasty. When Muhammad Ghuri went back, he left one of his slaves named Qutbuddin Abak. Okay, and when Muhammad Ghuri was going back, he was sadly he died. Okay, and this assassination of him, okay, led to the establishment of slave dynasty in India. And after that particular time, okay, after that particular time, from 1206 till 1526 is the time period for Delhi Sultanate. Okay, now for what purposes is it important for government exam? Okay, first thing, we first understand ki what particular group of cultures brought something special for the country. Okay, when these rulers, okay, uh, came and they made this country, okay, their home, and they lived here and they ruled over this particular portions. Okay, for a long time, Delhi was the capital for every okay dynasty that has ever lived there. Okay, and this was the source of power for them. Everybody wanted to rule the entire north and to command over the south. Okay, and together they wanted to expand their horizons. But very few of the rulers came very close to rule all over the India. Okay, and before this particular Delhi Sultanate, there was one particular king and whose virtue was so high in our history. Okay, he's known as Ashoka, Ashoka the Great. Okay, and he's the one who has uh, like ruled over the entire India. Okay, and maybe much more than that. Okay, and he's considered one of the greatest rulers of our country. Okay, now in Delhi Sultanate, one important thing which happened, now the uh, slave dynasty, okay, it was established by Qutbuddin Aibak. Okay, and he was a slave of Muhammad Ghuri, and Qutbuddin Aibak was not a very capable military general. Okay, and because he all his life he has uh, spent his life in serv- service of Muhammad Ghuri. Okay, and because of that, he was not that good in leading uh, the masses and their forces. Okay, so he was not a capable military general. Now, what will happen if he was not a capable military general? Very simple thing. See, if somebody does not have the means to lead, okay, he cannot add, okay, any significant territory to the existing political domain of the sub because uh, the in the entirety of the Sultanate which was given to him. Okay, that was uh, only that much which was given to him he can have. He cannot further add anything into it. Okay, so that was his limitation. Okay, and what happened in 1206? He initiated, he established the country, and he could only rule for like 4 years. Okay, what happened? Because after a short period of 4 years, okay, he was very fond of playing something known as polo or chogan. Okay, it is like a game. Okay, and while he was playing this particular game, okay, he received some injuries, and due to that, in 1210 he died. Okay, and what happened? He when he died before that, okay, he was a bit close to his son-in-law, and when he died, his son-in-law named Iltutmish, okay, he took over. He succeeded the Qutbuddin's place, okay, and he ruled the slave dynasty. Now, Iltutmish is considered to be the real founder of the Sultanate, okay. Iltutmish is considered to be the real founder of the Sultanate. Okay, and Iltutmish, he was a very brilliant in his own terms. Okay, he's a bit of you will say a modernistic person. Okay, after assuming the throne, what he did, he declared Delhi as the formal capital of the Sultanate. First thing he did, he declared Delhi, okay, as the formal capital of Sultanate. Okay, and what was the reason behind it? The reason was simple, because he wanted to take effective measures, okay, to secure the economic and administrative structure inside the Sultanate. Okay, because and he has very particular mind about it, and he wanted to make sure that if he wanted to rule, if he wanted to spend, there is one thing that should be very clear, okay, and that should be the finances, okay, that should be the economic and administrative and because of this he introduced one very important system which in history is known as ikta system. Ikta system. Now there is a certain properties and features attached to this particular ikta system, and we are going to see how exactly this system was a little bit ahead of its time and how it managed to provide the structure under the Iltutmish, okay, to its whole sultan. Now, let's see. Next. Okay. So, according to Ikta system, the whole of the Sultanate territory, okay, they were ruling around Delhi and all the area which was under them, the whole territory was broadly divided into two categories, okay, and in two categories, okay, this was known as the whole of the Sultanate was divided into two lands, and first land was known as Ikta land, okay, and the second part was known as Khalisa land, okay. Now, what was Ikta land and what was Khalisa land? The larger category of the territory was known as Ikta land, okay, and this land was further subdivided, okay. Uh, Actually, it was further subdivided just to make sure that it is uh, very easily, okay, uh, managed by the uh, military generals whom to Iltutmish assigned these particular lands. Now, when this was subdivided and these were allotted to leading military generals, okay, and what was the function and what was the position given to these military generals? they were now called as iktadars. Okay, this was further subdivided, these lands, and each of these lands was given to various military generals, and each one of them was now known as iktadars. Okay, now they were known as iktadars. Now, why exactly they were called iktadars? Because these military generals were supposed to get these particular lands cultivated with the help of the peasants. Okay, and from that land, when this crop will come, they were supposed to collect the revenue. Okay, now it was said that one third, okay, the total agriculture produce that will come, okay, one third was collected as a state revenue, one third will be collected as state revenue, and the clear cut guidelines to these iktadar were that they were supposed to deduct their own salary and as well as the expenses of horses and soldiers maintained by them. Okay, first they have to cut their own personal agenda. Okay, personal in revenues, all the expenditures they wanted, they have to cut them, and rest of the money, okay, the remaining amount, it was supposed to be deposited or remitted to the Sultanate treasury. Okay, the leftover amount and the remaining amount was supposed to go, remaining amount was supposed to go to Sultanate treasury. Okay, now this arrangement, it kind of uh, this particular arrangement brought a kind of centralization in financial structure of Sultanate. Okay, and this was very uh, nice idea to bring some uh, nice structure inside the Sultanate. Now, if you want to ask me, what was the distinctive feature of this particular Dikta system? You have to understand the particular distinctive feature of this ICTA system was its transferable revenue assignment. Okay, because if somebody is not a capable person who cannot like generate enough amount for the treasury, this particular system provides a transferable assignment. If somebody is not doing a good job, that particular position will be transferred from him to somebody else. Okay, so the very distinct feature of this particular system was that it was a transferable revenue assignment. Okay, now this was all about Ikta land. Now let's talk about Khalisa land. Okay, see, now what was happening here in the Khalisa land, because we now know that the larger part, okay, the larger part was Ikta land and the smaller part was known as Khalisa land. Smaller part was known as Khalisa land. Okay, now the revenue generated from this particular land was exclusively reserved. Okay, exclusively reserved just for the personal expenditure of Sultan. Okay, and for his family. Okay, whatever Sultan and his family wants to do or spend in any way they want. Okay, for all the formalities they want to have, for all the systems they want to create. Okay, this is for their personal use. Now, all the reserves from this particular uh, land is going to be in the personal expenditure of Sultan. Now, the Khalisa land was, because of these reasons, okay, was especially called as king's land. Okay, because there was no interference, okay, for any kind of person to say that okay, it was supposed to be given to somebody else. No, it was only for the Sultan's purpose, and because of this, it was sometimes taunted, and it's very specifically said that it is a king's land or crown's land. Okay, so this is all about Ikta land and Ikta system. Now we can see from here that Iltutmish, okay, he was a very uh, good military general, and because of him, he actually contributed towards efficient currency. Okay, because he was creating such a nice financial structure, and because of that, he also contributed towards efficiency currency and coinage. Okay, he actually started the circulation of two different types of coins. Okay, so that people can start transaction in them. Okay, so large scale of commercial transaction started happening in those particular coins. Okay, now large number of silver coins were circulated, and they were known as tanka. Okay, these were silver coins. Okay, and besides this, also there were some copper coins. Okay, and they were circulated from smaller commercial transactions. Okay, this is for large scale transactions. Okay, and for smaller transactions, copper coins were there. Okay, and they were known as jittal. Okay, huh. Now Iltutmish, during his entire reign in the Sultanate, he decided to take the support of the religious segment, okay, which was associated with the Islamic faith, because they all came from the Western, okay, far side, okay. All the dynasty I have mentioned, Samanid, Seljuk, okay, they came from there. Now they were associated with Islamic faith. Now Iltutmish very uh, simply took the support of the leading religious scholars, and those leading scholars were known as ulemas. Okay, those leading scholars were known as ulemas, and Iltutmish, on every occasion, okay, wanted to have their expert advice. Okay, and besides this, he wanted his mind, okay, to be open for all the other segments. So he was also taking expert advice from the leading military generals, okay, leading military generals of his time. Okay, and with this particular intention, okay, he created a group which comprised of leading ulemas and military generals together. Okay, in this particular group, he added both the ulemas and the leading military generals, and this was known as Corps of 40. This was known as Corps of 40. Okay, and it had 40 influential persons, ulemas and the leading military generals. Okay, and at that particular time, this corps of 40, where 40 influential persons were there, this was known as Turkan a Chehelgani. Okay, it was known as Turkan a Chehelgani. Okay, this particular group of 40s was known as Turkan a Chehelgani. Okay, now one second, let me erase it. Okay, now there was one particular incident, okay, and it is also a major contribution of Iltutmish, because the presence of mind this guy showed, okay, when he was on the throne of the Delhi Sultanate, it was amazing. Okay, because at the same time when he was there, okay, there was one person from the western side. He was the crown prince of Iran. Okay, his name was Jalaluddin. Okay, and what happened at that particular time? What happened to Genghis Khan? He was a Mongol leader. Everybody have heard it about him. And Genghis Khan, what he did, he defeated the Khwarezmi rulers of Iran. And when he defeated the Khwarezmi rulers of Iran, Jalaluddin ran from the country. He fled his country, and he decided to take political asylum, political asylum in India. Okay, he came to Iltutmish, okay, and he asked that whether he could be given political asylum by him. Now Iltutmish was very smart in this particular strategy. He knew that Genghis Khan was a very ferocious, okay, ruler and a warrior as well. And without any reason, because at this particular time, his sultanate was not capable of fighting such a big ruler. And to avoid any possible conflict with him, he diplomatically, okay, refused Jalaluddin any kind of asylum, okay, so that the attack of Genghis Khan can be averted on India. And through this diplomatic move, Iltutmish was able to safeguard, okay, the newly established sultanate, because sultanate was just formed in 1206 and he was just here. And if he did anything, okay, to damage its establishment, okay, to its life here, okay, he had to do this particular thing. So by taking this particular uh, decision, he safeguarded the establishment of sultanate. Now, in his later terms, okay, during the last year of Iltutmish reign, he realized something, that out of his all sons, okay, and a daughter, none of his son was worthy of being his successor. Okay, and this was very tragic, because out of his all sons, nobody was anywhere where he wanted them. Okay, and but he saw something in her daughter. Okay, and therefore he surpassed the claims of his sons. Okay, he set aside all his sons and took his daughter's name. Okay, and his daughter's name was Razia Sultan. There is a movie as well on this, and a lot of good concept in history. She's the first, okay, woman. Okay, she's the first woman monarch in medieval history, you can see. Now, the period for Razia Sultan's reign was also very short, from only 1236 to 39. And why it happened, why it is so short, we are going to have a discussion over it. Okay, now Iltutmish, okay, surpassed all his son's claim and nominated his daughter Razia to become the next ruler. Up now, a woman is going to sit on the throne of the Delhi Sultanate. Okay, and after the death of Iltutmish, Razia became the new monarch of Delhi Sultanate. And this particular thing, okay, this particular thing actually did something very typical. Okay, and it is very typical because those religious segment person, okay, like group of parties wala Turkan and Chehelgani, they thought it was a blasphemy. Okay, it is against the will of the god. Okay, but Razia was actually a very powerful military general, and she actually wanted to expand the political domain. Okay, she actually wanted to expand the political domains. Okay, and if she really wanted to do this particular thing, she knew what she had to do. Okay, she knew that she had to expand her military forces. Okay, if she really wanted to do this, she had to increase the amount of soldiers. Okay, so she had to recruit a large number of soldiers, large number of horses, okay, all these things. And in this process, Razia did something very different. And what was this? She appointed a non-Turkish person, and this non-Turkish person was Malik Yaqut. Malik Yaqut. Okay, and who was this person? This was a very skilled horseman. Okay, there is a country inside Africa. It is now known as Ethiopia. At that particular time, this particular country was known as Abyssinia. Okay, this was known as Abyssinia, and she recruited this particular person from that particular country, and he was a very skilled horseman, a very good fighter. Okay, and this person was given a high military post inside the Sultanate forces. Okay, and this particular step of Razia was opposed by all the leading military generals, all the existing military generals who were in the Delhi Sultanate and the group of 40s, Turkal and Chehelgani. They opposed this particular step of Razia Sultan's, okay, because those leading military generals wanted to maintain their superiority, okay, because they do not want to give any particular position just to a random person. You brought somebody from another country and you gave the biggest position inside the post to them, and already there were a lot of guys in the groups of 40 who wanted to like have that particular position, and this particular thing upset them, okay, and this particular opposition of the group of 40s, okay, it led to a lot of conspiracies against Razia Sultan, because every single person who was inside this and had some uh, personal, okay, reasons or personal aspirations to move ahead the ladder, okay, they all started conspiring against the Razia Sultan. Now, when the Razia Sultan came to the throne of the Sultanate, she realized one thing, because it was given inside the Islam that all the women should cover their face, should have a veil over their face. Okay, they cannot show their face to anybody. Okay, but when Razia came to the power and she sat on the throne, she knew that she cannot deliver her duties and responsibilities while wearing all that veil on her face. And due to that, this particular reason, Razia discarded, okay, the veil. She said she will not wear the veil while delivering all the responsibilities, okay, and because of this, okay, she was actually, okay, opposed by the ulemas, the religious segment of the group of 40, okay, and this particular step wasn't tolerated by anybody inside uh, Delhi Sultanate at that particular time. It was supposed to be, okay, a very blasphemical thing to them, okay, and the orthodox Islamic leaders, they were in the opposition at that time. Now, these leaders, okay, these group of 40 persons or the ulemas, these leaders declared that Razia was trying to violate the feminine modesty. Okay, she was trying to violate the feminine modesty inside the Islam region. Okay, and she's trying to change the terms which was given by the God itself. Okay, and in that particular time of medieval society, it was a very big thing. Okay, and these all the leaders of the group of 40, they began to oppose Razia to a very large extent. Okay, and this opposition, okay, this was up to an extent the political, okay, uh, you will see ki there was a particular person on the other side of a frontier. His name was Altunia, and because of this opposition, when the Razia was working, when she went on a particular task, she was actually imprisoned by a person named Altunia. Okay, and meanwhile, these corps of 40 people, okay, when she was imprisoned there, they thought now she will not be released. They actually, okay, placed a perfect ruler, okay, and his name was Behram Shah. Behram Shah, and his timing was from 1239 to 1242. Okay, 1239 to 1242. Now, when he, this particular person was sat down, okay, by the group of 40, made to sit down on the throne, Razia Sultan realized something. If she ever wanted to regain her power, okay, she has to take some kind of like very hard decisions. And because of that, what she did, she actually married her captivator. Okay, she married Altunia, and after that, she started again her journey towards Delhi. Okay, she started coming back to Delhi, but on the instruction of group of 40, on the way she was assassinated. In 1239, she was assassinated when she was trying to come back. Okay, and after that, Behram Shah, now he actually became, and he was proclaimed as the formal ruler of the Sultan. Okay, now this incident marked the beginning of domination of members of group of 40 in the Sultanate policies. Now, because they have removed all the resistance from the opposite side, these particular groups of 40 people, okay, they now became a very important segment inside the Delhi Sultanate. Okay, and after a time, because these corps of 40 people, Turkan and Chehelgani, they realized something because Behram Shah was not a very strong military general. Okay, he was a very weak ruler, and because of that, they decided to create a new post. Okay, he was Sultan, and they created a post named as Naib Sultan. Okay, a post which is known as Naib Sultan, or it can be directly said as Deputy Sultan. Okay, and this officer was given all the major powers of administration, and he emerged to be a powerful officer in the Sultanate. Now, Behram Shah was actually sitting there, okay, for 3 years. 3 years he worked. After 3 years, what happened? He was blinded and killed at the instructions of Corps of 40. Now, Corps of 40 got rid of him after just 3 years. They blinded him and they killed him. Okay, and you can see now the Corps of 40 people, they were growing in power and in size as well. Okay, their intentions were getting bigger. Okay, and after 1242, they brought another perfect ruler, and his name was Masood Shah. Okay, and he was there just for 4 years, from 1242 to 46. Okay, and he was placed on the throne of Sultanate. And during the reign of Masood Shah, political culture of Sultanate, it was further deteriorated. Okay, and the prestige and the proudness that was attached to that particular time with the Delhi Sultanate is was adversely affected. Okay, and these particular changes was actually realized by a powerful military general inside the corps of 40, and this particular person who was seeing all these particular things happening, okay, he decided to do something about it, and this person's name was Ghiyasuddin Balban. Okay, he was a very strong military general. Okay, and he knew if he wanted to revive the glory that the Sultanate once had, he had to do something very important. Okay, and by having this particular mindset, what he did, he assassinated Masood Shah. Okay, and he did one thing again. He was killed by Ghiyasuddin Balban because he thought he could revive the lost glory of the Sultanate, and he placed his own candidate, okay, on the throne. And the next candidate which Ghiyasuddin Balban, okay, brought to the throne, okay, his name was Nasiruddin Nasiruddin Mahmud. And Nasiruddin Mahmud was there for like 20 years, from 1246 to 1266. Okay, and he was brought as the next sultan. Now you must be thinking, what was the Ghiyasuddin Balban's idea behind it? Because he knew very exactly. In the time of the Masusa, they created a post. Okay, in the time of Bahram Shah, okay, they created a post of Naib Sultan, and he was very much okay informed about this post because all the power was in his hand. So what he did, he created another leader, okay, just for the namesake, but he himself became the real power. He gave himself the new position of Naib Sultan. He became the Naib Sultan. Okay, and in this particular support, what Walbon said to the Nasiruddin Shah that he should make him the Naib Sultan. Okay, now he got the wide-ranging powers which he wanted to revive the lost glory of the Sultanate. Okay, and when once he came to the power, what he did? Okay, he brought effective military reforms. He knew if he really wanted to change the way the Sultanate is, he has to change the military. Okay, he has to change the Sultanate structure from the education perspective to the administrative perspective and to the time that he has to change the entire financial structure as well. Okay, and to do this, he knew that he has to do something very, very important because the groups of 40, Turkana Chehelgani, they were the leading material at that particular time. They were ulemas and all the military generals, and they were having a very big effect on the whole of the Delhi Sultanate. And he knew exactly what he had to do. So what he did, he brutally started suppressing the corps of 40 because the idea he was bringing it was very clear. Okay, and this particular brutal suppression against the members of corps of 40, okay, because of his policy. Okay, now what he did, it created the dominance of Ghiyasuddin Balban in the Sultanate. Okay, now what Ghiyasuddin Balban did when he brutally suppressed, after that everybody was kind of a little afraid. He introduced a new theory of kinship. Okay, and he said this theory is known as divine origin of kinship. Okay, and according to this particular theory, what was supposed to happen? He said the leader of the Delhi Sultanate, the Sultan, he was supposed to be treated as the representative of God on earth. Okay, according to this particular theory, Sultan was supposed to be treated as representative of God on earth. Okay, and in order to emphasize this particular concept inside the Sultanate, he introduced two particular practices. Okay, two court practices he introduced inside the Delhi Sultanate. Okay, and actually it was brought from, he borrowed these particular court practices from the Iranian king, okay, of Afar. Okay, these particular concepts were borrowed from this particular kings of Upper Siam, and these particular code practices were Sijda and taboos. Okay, and these practices were supposed to bring the divine origin of kingship. Okay, and according to the practice of Sijda, all the members of the court were supposed to bow down before Sultan in order to give him the respect he deserves. Okay, and in the custom of the Pabos, all the members will come and they are supposed to kiss the feet of the Sultan. Okay, so in order to show the respect in front of the Sultan, people were supposed to do two things. First, they have to bow down in front of the Sultan, and second, kiss the feet of the Sultan. Okay, now this particular thing, the position of the Sultan, this became unparalleled. Okay, it brought something divine in his position. Okay, and now it cannot be challenged by any group or community. The idea was simply that he he was trying to bring the position of Sultan in place of God so that normal people cannot challenge this particular position. Okay, now Ghiyasuddin Balban, he also decided, because I told you now, in order to change the entire structure of the Sultanate, he has to change all the things inside the Delhi Sultanate, including military positions, military forces, administrative structure, financial structure. Okay, now to change the military, he was himself a very strong military general, so he understood the value of forces. and because of that, he maintained a large number of forces. It was known as standing army, okay, the foot soldiers. And he introduced or he recruited a large number of, okay, standing army, because he wanted to defend his Delhi Sultanate and also wanted to expand the Delhi Sultanate's frontier. He had this idea inside of him that he can expand, okay, because he was a very strong military general. And with this particular object, what he did, he established a military department which is known as Diwane Arj. Diwane Arj, okay. And the purpose of this department, it was simply to recruit and maintain the large standing army in his Delhi Sultanate. Okay, and now in order to guard the northwest frontier, because he was sitting inside here Delhi, and all the position, all the western frontier, it was open. The resistance was coming from this side, the resistance was coming from this side. Okay, and in order to safeguard the northwest frontier region of India, Balban placed his eldest son, Prince Muhammad, okay, to rule over the sensitive this particular region. Okay, he sent his own son, okay, to safeguard this particular place. But what happened? Prince Muhammad lost his life in 1285. Okay, in 1285 AD, Prince Muhammad lost his life, and because of this, Ghiyasuddin Balban uh, kind of had a severe setback. Okay, uh, the love he had for his son, okay, because of that, he was mentally, okay, pressure down, and because of this, he died in 1286 AD. And before his death, okay, what he did, Balban has a second son. He was named as Bugra Khan. Okay, Bugra Khan. Before his death, okay, Yasuddin Balban placed his second son to rule over the eastern province. Okay, eastern province of Bengal, and this province located far off from the Delhi. Okay, you can see like from in these particular areas of Bihar, eastern Bihar and Odisha, little bit down, and this Bengal. Okay, now this is in the far off regions of Delhi. Okay, and because these particular regions, they used to declare their independence from the Sultanate control whenever they get the chance. Okay, and when the Balban died, okay, military generals of Sultanate offered the throne to Bughra Khan. Okay, and when this particular position was offered to Bughra Khan, it was not accepted by him. Okay, and after that, the throne of Sultanate was offered to the son of Bughra Khan. Okay, Bughra Khan had a son. Bughra Khan refused the position, but his son Kai Kuad, his name was Kai Kuad. Okay, he accepted the said position, and he came to Delhi to become the Sultan. And from 1286 to 90, he was there. But there was one thing attached to him, because Kaikwad was a very weak military general. Okay, and he failed to ensure the security of the Delhi Sultanate. In the northwestern region, frontier region, infiltration started happening. Okay, again in the eastern side, okay, there were conflicts, and he was not sure how to manage all this. Okay, and this actually made the time of his reign very short. Okay, and this military general, there was a particular military general, okay, in the north frontier regions, and his name was Jalaluddin Khalji. Okay, and when he came to know that there was a very weak ruler on the Delhi throne, he decided to fight for it. Okay, he came, and he acquired the power. Okay, he defeated the Kaikwad and also killed him in 1290. Okay, and he after that established his own line of dynasty inside the Delhi Sultanate, which is now known as Khalji dynasty. Okay, and with this particular end, Kaikwad was the last thread, okay, for the slave dynasty, okay, which was created there, and this now ended with the onset of Khalji dynasty, and Jalaluddin established this particular dynasty, and it was there for a short period of time from 1290 to 1320. Okay, now this is the beginning for our Delhi Sultanate and the medieval history, and we are trying to understand the political, okay, history, how it all happened, and later on we are going to add the cultural part with it so that we can have more understanding with it. Okay, so in next class we are going to move on to the next part, and we'll try to understand the Khalji dynasty and a little bit deeper. Okay, so till then, have a good evening. Okay, see you in the next class.